Yes, I have a question. When we look at public outreach, there's like a new industry, the commercial space industry. When we look at companies like Virgin Galactic or like the Google Lunar X Prize, and I was just wondering how you, and this is a general question, use that attention maybe for your benefit. And it's who feels obliged to answer here.
Well, coming from a banking and finance background, obviously things like economic prosperity are very important to me, because if we don't live in a prosperous nation, then I don't have any job to do because there's no economic activity. So when I do my public outreach, one of the things that I really harp on is the importance of the space industry to our future prosperity through the creation of jobs, through the creation of technology, and so forth. And that's something that people understand. The science may be a bit esoteric, the engineering might be a little tough, but they understand jobs being created, and they understand that economies need to grow for people to prosper and to have something good for their kids to look forward to and do. So by tying space exploration and activities to commercial endeavors, and the new change is very very good in that regard, but I put it in a context and they get it immediately. Jobs. Jobs are good. They want jobs. They want more jobs. These are interesting jobs, fun jobs. So it is something that does grab them, and it does need to be communicated more, because so often space exploration is solely in the context of science or engineering, and not much beyond that. And people want to see that next step, creation of economic wealth that comes from that. So.
Your point about the Google Lunar X Prize is really very appropriate, because I'm told that some of the candidates for that, or the companies that are bidding on that, are going to try to work in opportunities for educational activities where students could actually be controlling some of these the rovers that they're going to be building, which I think is fabulous. So that's not a NASA activity, but we intend to help leverage that and support that however we can. Just as we're going to the private sector for launch capability now, we also want to replicate new partnerships in things like public outreach and education, because we can't do it all. There's laws that restrict certain things we do. There's budgets that are restrictive. So we look for things that are outside of NASA, and that's a great example of something that we hope to do. Also, NASA's Education Division, under the leadership of Joyce Winterton, co-sponsored a meeting about 2 months ago with the American Aerospace Industries Association, where we had companies come in to tell us what their education activities were, to see if we could leverage and not duplicate each other. So they'll continue to do those kinds of things. Good question.
Yeah, in fact, I attended the last Google Lunar X Prize Team Summit, which was in connection with the advisory board meeting for Google Lunar X Prize, where I'm a participant. And what was intriguing was that during the Team Summit, over half the people who were physically present were not Americans. And so what's emerging here is a understanding that there is a global imperative here to push the envelope as far as possible. It was pretty obvious in talking to these teams that although the final Google Lunar X Prize purse, if you will, is $30 million US and may get augmented by 1 or 2 significant additional sponsors that are being talked to right now, the amount of money that will be spent on this development will be greatly in excess of the prize. But almost everybody is hopeful they have a business plan that could recuperate some of it. So we're beginning to see that economic engine potentially working, at least on a few of the elements in the certainly in the transit from
My
Earth.
question is, when we look at these space educational programs, or like a summer program, might it be interesting in the future to not only offer it to science and engineer students, as was suggested, but maybe also show business students, maybe the future entrepreneurs, that space is also something they should think about, and they should think about maybe using this data to create business for themselves?
Well, this is certainly a good idea, but don't forget that the summer school Alpbach is a scientific summer school, and students need to have at least a little understanding of the theme of the summer school Alpbach. So I doubt that the business school students would be very happy in Alpbach to produce scientific satellite missions. But as regards the input from industry, we have the support of the Austrian Association of Space Industry, and there is support also for students. And we also had lecturers from industry to teach the students in Alpbach about real life in space industry. So we do not forget industry, it's just that the school itself, it's a scientific school.
Okay, thank you.
Well, certainly at the ISU for the Space Studies program every summer, the 9-week program, that is totally interdisciplinary. And so not only do we have scientists and technologists, but people with business background, law background, management background, humanities, totally interdisciplinary. And so I think that for that short program, and then the 1-year master's program here in Strasbourg, that interdisciplinary approach is very well covered.